Good morning, YouTube, and welcome to what may very well be the last What the Papers Say. Because tomorrow is Sunday and I don't buy a paper, and I think if you're lucky, I may do what the papers didn't say tomorrow. And then that will wrap up my 100 gigabyte data challenge. And I think it's fitting that today's headline is as follows: Army to help with UK mass vaccinations. Because it's a great headline to go out on, isn't it? Army to help with UK mass vaccinations. I mean, it sounds like you couldn't complain. They're helping. The military are in talks with the NHS to deliver the biggest vaccination push in British, open brackets, world history. I think the headline should read, Army to mass vaccinate population. They're not helping, they're going to do it. I mean, the NHS are surely busy, bursting boils and delivering babies. I think you'll find that the roadblock is exclusively manned by Her Majesty's killers. I mean the army. I think that's what we're going to see. And in fact, I've been saying that for a long time now. I should tell you that today I'm going busking, so I didn't read the papers first. So I've no idea what's in the paper. I'm going to turn the page and just spraff away as I see what I see. The Sahel region of Africa is a time bomb of terrorism, said the Moroccan police chief as he fingered a Kalashnikov. Honestly, we have suspected ISIS cells there, very extreme. And what they need is a more oppressive police force with bigger Kalashnikovs, I'm sure. Rio Tinto boss to step down. I guess that's after the scandal where he destroyed 60,000 years of Aboriginal culture. Hey, you know, the shareholders got to have some bubbly at the AGM. A drug dealer crashed his car into the police in Sydney. Simon too had 260 kilos of meth in the van when he swerved across the road and hit the police cars in 2019. 6.5 years. I guess he was speeding. Boom, boom. Wow. Britain's Got Talent ran a piece which depicted a white police officer kneeling on a man, echoing the killing of US George Floyd. Why? When did that become entertainment? Oh, wait. Perhaps it is entertainment. The whole thing's entertainment. Entertainment's not necessarily a good thing, you know. It just means you are caught up in watching something and looking at it and thinking about it. One last blast of summer as 30°C heat returns to the UK. It sure is hot out there. And I know it's snowing in Narnia, and I'm not going to claim or make the error that weather is climate, because it's not. But this has no doubt been the latest in the warmest years on record. This year hasn't finished yet, but the way it's been going, I believe it will be the warmest year on record. Like, last year was the warmest year on record, and the year before was the warmest year on record before that. In fact, I believe 7 of the 10 warmest years in history have been in the last 10 years, not including this one. So we could look forward to 8 of the warmest years in history have been in the last 10 years. Law cracks down on cyber flashing and online pylons. Changes to the law to crack down on cyber flashing and pylon harassment have been proposed to better protect victims of cyber abuse. This law may fail to address harmful behaviours and in some cases infringe on rights of freedom of expression in others, the Commission warned. Well, that would be a surprise, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be a surprise if a new law restricted your freedom of expression and failed to actually address the thing they claimed that it was for? Man near 60 miles an hour with wheelchair speed record. Whoa! 60 miles an hour in a wheelchair. I mean, it depends what you're calling a wheelchair. I'm in a wheelchair. Honestly, I am. Boris Johnson faces a Tory rebellion over his plans to tell the European Union to fuck off. Boris Johnson is planning to change, without consultation or renegotiation, the withdrawal agreement that we signed as a precursor to leaving Europe. And that is basically two fingers to the EU. Also, according to the government's own advice, it is illegal in a specific and limited area, as in all the things that they're going to change. So, in other news about the Tory rebellion, Libertarian Tories are unhappy about new COVID rules in England and have told the PM not to consider a curfew. Oh, they're unhappy with the rules as they stand at the moment, but they're not rebelling about that. They're just suggesting maybe you shouldn't do a curfew. That's the first I've heard of a curfew. That is the first mention of curfew. Mein Gott! The Prime Minister has urged his party to listen to him. He said the measures were crucial to protect the integrity of the UK. That's about Europe. Where's the stuff about coronavirus? After a brief spell in which restrictions were relaxed, there's been a change in direction. On Wednesday, Johnson announced the rule of 6, barring gatherings above 6 people anywhere, in your house, in your garden, outside. This is, Chinese levels of overbearing government on your life. And these are not guidelines. Jamie, thank you. These are not guidelines. The government has, in an unusual move, given that the death rate, let's just go over this again because it may seem rather baffling at first. The death rate in Britain from coronavirus is falling. It fell again yesterday. It's been falling for months. And the only reason there's a jump in the number of people who've been officially judged to have coronavirus is because of mass testing. That's why there are more people with coronavirus in the UK, because we've tested more people, and a small percentage. It was, I believe, 156, get this, out of 15,000, out of 150,000 tests, 156 people tested positive. And 11 people died yesterday. I think that's a weekly figure for testing, but that's a daily death figure, which is a downward trend in England. In Scotland, nobody's died for so long, we've forgotten when it was. So these new restrictions are in law. In law, they're not guidelines. You are legally breaking the law if you gather with more than 6 people. What particularly worries MPs is that this could be a taste of things to come. No one really believes things are going to be more relaxed before Christmas. It's just going to get worse. One idea doing the rounds is a curfew. Figures involved in test and traced are understood to support the idea. So, a law banning you meeting with more than 6 people, a curfew, and a law permitting the army to inject you with medicine at the side of the road. Wow. It's nice to live in the free world, isn't it? Isn't it great in the free world? We're so free. The Labour leader in Scotland is finally to face a confidence vote after trying to squirm out of it. He'll be gone by next week, I assure you. He's a goner. Army to help with UK mass vaccinations. Here's the story. That's an injection with that vaccine that just made a few people ill. That's the vaccine whose trial has been halted because it made people's spinal cords swell. That's the vaccine they want the army to give the entire country of Britain. Hey, I'd like to see the video where the army inject everyone in the army. I mean, just off the top of my head, if the army are going to be giving you the vaccine, then shouldn't they have already had the vaccine? I think there's 150,000 people in the army in Britain. I'd like to see the video where they're all injected with the vaccine first, if you don't mind. Not that that's going to make me want the vaccine or have it, but I'd just like to see the army injected with a poison. The army is to be drafted in for the biggest vaccination program in history. Public health and civil contingency planners believe they will need military assistance to help administer the millions of jabs. Vaccinations would be administered by trained nurses at sites around the country, and if necessary, army medics and other specialists. So it sounds like, to me, the army's just there to flash the machine gun and the muscle. The army may or may not actually deliver a vaccine to anybody, but they'll be there at the site where the vaccine's being delivered, just to make sure you get the picture. After all, we are talking about a country that could be going under curfew, and where meeting with more than 6 people, including protesting against these laws, is illegal. You haven't sleptwalked into tyranny. You have had it slapped in your face. You didn't sleepwalk into this fascist nightmare. It was punched into your eyeballs day after day after day. The government says this, the government says that, the government says the other. Good morning, Richard and others. Lockdown restrictions extended in Lanarkshire, that's an area of Scotland. COVID-19 cases increasing in England. Yes, that's because you keep testing people. But strangely, death rates are going down. I was just reading another story there. 3,200 new cases being seen each day. Now, if that's a result of hundreds of thousands of tests, it's not really worrying me. Oh, here's a story about people with beards. World leaders with beards. Trump praises back to the office plan for bankers. Millions of early virus cases went undetected. France is not planning a new lockdown. I guess that's... oh yeah, Donald Trump has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. This paper doesn't apparently have this story, but Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates have recognized Israel's right to exist. That's nice of them. I mean, Israel already existed as Palestine, but you know, whatever. And so because of this incredible act of altruist international diplomacy by filthy Arabs and their military unelected tyrant rulers, there's to be a peace prize or a nomination for a peace prize. How come people, unelected military rulers who kill women for adultery and behead children for minor crimes are even involved in a fucking peace prize? Really? How about a tyranny prize? How about we whip up the Nobel Tyranny Prize and we give it out every year to the country that's, done the most tyrannical things? And so, marriage in lockdown, COVID for Christmas. So long Christmas. Christmas may have to be cancelled because if you're having a dinner party with more than 6 people, that won't be allowed. I mean, let me see. When my family have Christmas dinner, there's usually, 18, something like that, maybe more. Food poverty. This is from The Guardian. We can help resolve food poverty by supporting a living and livable income for people who are employed. Blah, 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 yeah, that's pay people more because food prices are going up. See the climate change story. Sweden is thriving. Here's a fairy story. Once upon a time there was a dangerous virus that made everybody on Earth really afraid, except for the Swedish, who didn't close their schools, or their shops, or their pubs, or their restaurants, and everybody's fine. No, it's true, I swear, and they all lived happily ever after. Well, some of them died, just the old sick ones, who were going to die anyway. Its economy was hit less than half of ours. Sweden is lifting its cap on gatherings to 500. 500 in Sweden, you can actually go to a gig. The state epidemiologist says there won't be a second wave, its virus levels are lower than Denmark or Norway, and there's an economic surplus in August because the economy is unexpectedly strong. Sweden, a country that didn't lock its people up and isn't about to have the army mass vaccinate them at the side of the road. Man, if I could, I'd fucking move there. I certainly won't be having a vaccination at the side of the road. Here's Patrick Coburn on a migrant story. He says, refugees will come here if we ignite bloody conflicts in their homelands. Duh. Oh, he mentions the 9/11 anniversary attacks. What are we really seeing in those pathetic half-swamped rubber boats in the Channel? It's the tip end of a vast exodus of people brought about by military intervention by the US and its allies, as a result of their global war on terror launched following the attacks on 9/11. 37 million people have been displaced from their homes, according to a report published this week by a university in the US. 37 million people displaced by the 9/11 attacks that were a lie. But now 9/11, like the death of Kennedy, is just a bit of irrelevant history. I swear, it's completely irrelevant, 9/11 now. And if you thought the surveillance society that came about after 9/11 was bad, what's coming because of coronavirus is going to make it look like a Sunday picnic. I am already potentially, along with everybody else in this country, going to be subject to a curfew and a tracking of my every move, followed by compulsory medical intervention on my body. Just missed a wee message there. Yes, this message will be on the t-shirt. I'm wearing my t-shirt, Rude Health, no mask, no test, no vax. And I will be making these available on my website, Deke Jackson, in the next few days. Somehow, I swear. Although I haven't figured out technically yet. But t-shirts are available. I just need to figure out how to put a shop on my website. But it's going to happen. Amazon Expert, that's not the online shopping and delivery system. Amazon Expert killed by arrow after approaching uncontacted tribe. An expert in isolated Amazon tribes. Not so expert, apparently. Not really so expert. An expert in isolated Amazon tribes in Brazil was killed by an arrow fired at him as he approached an indigenous group. Maybe they were Republicans or Democrats. He was shot with an arrow as he moved close to an uncontacted indigenous group near a reservation in western Brazil. Man, I'm glad to hear there are some uncontacted people. Imagine their surprise. Imagine if they hadn't shot him. Imagine if he'd got into their village. People, I come from the outside world to bring you news. Trump is president. And Lady Gaga is #1. No wonder they shot him. And blah blah blah. Earthquake in Leighton Buzzard. So that was just about all of what the paper said. Money and business. Rio Tinto chief resigns over destruction of sacred site. Apparently he destroyed a Pizza Hut. Sorry, no, I mean an ancient Aboriginal cave. But you know, what is sacred and who to? So, just to recap then. Army to help with UK mass vaccinations. And upon further reading, as is often the case with stories in the newspaper, that doesn't mean the army are actually going to inject you. That means the army will be there to make sure that somebody does inject you. We are living through unprecedented and unparalleled tyranny. I would not have believed, and I've got a wacky imagination, really I have, I would not have believed 6 months ago that the army in Britain would be readying to stand behind nurses with machine guns while they compulsorily vaccinated the entire population, or that a curfew might be being discussed at the head of government because of a virus which would struggle to kill my elderly gran. Let's go over the figures again. Flu has killed more people every single week this year. Every single week. Office of National Statistics, British government website. Flu has killed more people every week this year. And the number of dead in Britain, 40,000, is just about a typical flu season. It really is. That's about the number of people who die from the flu every year. At no point ever in the past, due to flu or any other disease, was I told to lock myself in my house, wear a mask, and do all this other shit. So there's something else afoot. That's my conclusion, with which I am sharing with you. This is pish. The coronavirus lie is exactly that. It exists, but the lie that you need to be locked up and your government needs incredible tyrannical powers in order to combat it is bullshit. Public health does not require the government to have fascist tyrannical powers over you. I too will stand my ground, and you'll have to fucking kill me to give me that vaccine. Which, interestingly enough, is one of my favourite stories. I'd like to take you back. Ooh, it's 1976 in America. 1976 in America, there's an outbreak of swine flu at a military base somewhere in America. I forget some of the details. One person dies, 13 people are seriously ill. The government decides to embark upon a mass vaccination program. Sound familiar? And so it gets a vaccine rushed into production. Sound familiar? And it then runs around injecting everybody with it. Well, guess what? Thousands of them get sick and many of them die. They have to stop the mass vaccination program and give compensation to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, in this scenario that we're facing, the government has, luckily for itself, passed a law that says it's immune from prosecution for anything it does. Isn't that handy? I mean, if you're going to fuck shit up, you ought to pass a law first that says you can't sue me if I fuck shit up. So that's what they've done. The Public Health Regulations Act 2020 forbids anybody suing a nurse, a doctor, or any other member of the government for any decisions or actions that they take during the crisis. Isn't that handy? It's almost like they were planning to do some really bad shit that you might want to sue them for, and they knew that, and that's why they passed that law. So, here we are, standing on the brink of mass armed vaccination and curfew. And if you don't want it, you will be the new Jew, like me. I suggest you make a stand now. I hope to bring you a range of badges and clothing that will identify you as the new Jew, as a filthy Untermensch, a person who is unclean, a person who is untested, a person who is unvaccinated, a person who is unwilling to take your pish. And that'll be me. I will be the one with my hands in the air at the side of the road with the squaddies telling me to get down on the ground. I won't be the guy sitting in the car rolling up my sleeve. That won't be me. Alan McVicker, head for the hills. I assure you, the people in the north of Scotland have stockpiled ammunition and food, and they're waiting for you. I've been up there busking and spoken to people. One of the things they think that's going to happen is we're going to head for the hills, and they don't want us, and they're waiting for us. And the same is true in rural America. I have friends in America, friends in rural America, and they are doing exactly the same, stockpiling ammunition and preparing to shoot a horde of zombies which may or may not appear due to the whatever may or may not happen. A lot of people are afraid. There's a lot of fear in a lot of people, and it's making them behave and act in a way which is counterintuitive and counterproductive, actually, to their safety. Rather than allowing the government to inject you with an untested pharma goo that will most likely not work, that would be the best outcome, that it didn't work, and is quite likely to make you sick, is surely not the way to protect your health. When, as I said before, nobody is dying, the death rate is going down and down and down, and it's already killing less people than the flu, and has killed less people than the flu all year. So what the fuck? Stand by, people. Shit's gonna get weird. I hope you're gonna have a great day, because I am. I'm going for a busk. I may stream it. So have fun. I'll see you later.